Okay, so today on CraftLeftovers, we're going to try something a little different and weird. And partly it's because I really want to get some kind of recording device, but in order to do so, I need to justify it. So I'm going to start doing a series of video podcasts, and right now I'm just using the little camera and microphone that's built into my laptop. Hence the strange extreme angle, but I want you to be able to see what's going on. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering, yeah, that's Molly sitting right here. I couldn't get her to quite leave, she is my studio assistant. Anyway, so today I wanted to show you how to make your own canvas panels. You can buy these at the store, and honestly, they're usually of really poor quality and not too fun to paint on. Actually, the way I'm going to show you how to do it today, you can take this off the board and then re-stretch it on stretcher bars if you wish to at some further point for, like, say, a show or exposition of your beautiful work. Anyway, so to get started, we need a few things. One is a scrap piece of canvas, which if you're a painter, you probably have tons of this laying around. It seems like you can never get the right size for exactly what you're making. And a board. A lot of people use chipboard or any kind of plywood, birch board. I'm going to try an experiment today and see how leftover bits of illustration board work. It might warp too extreme, but I guess we'll find out. And then it's helpful to have a bone folder. You want some kind of brush where it's not going to be losing a ton of bristles. I just have pretty standard gesso brush here. You want some gesso, and you want some glue. I'm just using some Mod Podge or craft glue. Traditionally, you can use like a rabbit skin glue to size your canvas as well as to secure the canvas to the board. I'm going with what I have on hand. Anyway, let's get started. So first, you want to take your board and get a nice coat of glue on the one side. So I'm just using a bone folder so I can get a nice, smooth, fairly even coat of glue on the back. And this dries pretty quickly, so you want to work as fast as you possibly can without being too sloppy. So just make sure you get it along all the corners. And then you take your canvas and you just lay it over the glue, and with your hands you just smooth it out. And you want to lay it on there pretty evenly so that way you have an even amount of canvas on all sides. If you want to re-stretch it later on canvas stretchers, you should leave about 2 to 3 inches. Because this is such a small piece of canvas board, it's about 5 by 6 inches. I just left about an inch or 3/4 of an inch. And so now you got it all nice and smooth and flat on the one side, and you flip it over and you take some more glue and just smooth it out along the edges. And you can use the edge of the bone folder to get a fairly even coat. Sorry if my hand was in the way there. And then you take the edge of your canvas and you want to pull it kind of tight and work from the center out. And again, you want to do this as quickly as you possibly can. Add a little bit more glue on the inside part of this canvas here, so that way that adheres nicely. Somehow, no matter how careful I am, I'm awesomely messy at everything I do, so of course I'm going to get my fingers in there and have to do a complete cleanup afterwards. But this generally shouldn't really be too messy of a job to do. And when you fold it over, you want to make sure that the canvas isn't going over the side, so just make Nice turn there. Sometimes if I have brushes that have, oh, well, unfortunately, I used to not take good care of my brushes. So I actually have a lot of brushes that have kind of become what we call paint sticks or glue sticks, where the paint dries and then they're just unrepairably bad condition and stiff, and then they become things like this. And you can actually use this poor sucker for glue then too, which is what I often do. And so now we have a nicely canvas board here, and nice and flat. You can see it's already starting to warp. This wouldn't happen if it was on chipboard. You can make panels up to, they recommend no bigger than 16 by 20 inches, or I would say at a very extreme end, 20 by 24 inches, and that's if you're using something like a birch board panel or like a chipboard panel. But after around that size or any bigger than that size, it's going to work really, really badly. I'm hoping on the small scale, if we press this flat, it'll keep it from working, because that would be awesome if I could use all this leftover mat board I have. And you want to take some glue and just get it along the edges and make sure you're getting down any little bits, so that way it's nice and flat on the back. And then I'm going to go wash this off real quick so I don't have another paint stick. Now that we have a clean bone folder, we'll just set that aside, and now we can go ahead and gesso our panel. Now this part, like, you get gesso in a big thing like this and it's pretty thick and goopy. You want your layers to be pretty thin, and this kind of stands for any gessoing project you're doing. So even if you're working on a stretched canvas on, you know, nice canvas stretchers, you want to start out with a thin layer and then work to thick. And what I actually do is start out with a little bit of water. So I'm going to go grab some water. Okay, so we got our water, and this just helps to open up the fibers a little bit, so that way the gesso actually penetrates the canvas, because canvas is a fairly tight woven cotton fabric and isn't waterproof, but tends to be a little water resistant. And you just want to work in nice right angles. And then your next layer that you're going to do immediately after this is going to be a mixture of 50% gesso and 50% water, so just 1 to 1. And then we'll let that dry completely,